Welcome back to Employed People. Today we're going to be speaking with Lance. He was a waiter at a restaurant on the property of a large amusement park. He's going to be taking us through the specific challenges that arise when your main clientele are those who've just left a theme park for the day. Spoiler alert, a lot of them throw up inside the restaurant. So please welcome Lance, the theme park waiter. Well, Lance, thank you for coming on today, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
So you worked at a sushi restaurant and you just quit.
Yes.
Okay.
About a month ago.
And you were telling me that the restaurant is like in a theme park, or is it outside the theme park?
It's like one of those theme park mall areas that they all have, where you're walking up and it's like chain restaurants and bad clothing stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, so it's like I'm picturing like I'm like about to go into like some big amusement park in Orlando, but then there's like this whole section before you go to the ticket place where there's like
the foreplay of the theme park.
Yeah. Yeah. You got like your fucking like Olive Garden, and then there's
one of the best ways it was described to me, and this is the only time a customer made me laugh when I worked there. This was an old guy walking past the restaurant, and he just looked at me in like existential horror and went, "It looks like I'm in Blade Runner." And then he kept walking, and I was like, "Yeah, man, you nailed it. It's like the shitty future from Blade Runner."
No, it is kind of surreal. I feel like I'm in whenever I'm in one of those, or like I'm about to go into like Disney or Universal or something. I just feel like I'm in like this like the heart of like capitalism. Like I cannot turn my eyes 2 inches without seeing something in my face. But you're saying so. I've never been in one of those restaurants.
They're not good. I don't typically recommend people go, which is, like, now that I'm free, I can say that.
Yeah.
But all the time I'd have friends offer, they'd be like, "Oh, I'll come visit you this weekend, don't worry." And I'd go, "You don't have to."
Don't.
Like, you can just hang out with me outside of work, and that's fine. Like, you don't have to spend more money. You don't have to spend too much money on, like, dog shit food.
Okay.
I mean, granted, the restaurant I worked at was actually better in quality than I would say every other restaurant on the property I was on.
What like kind of food is it?
Sushi.
Okay.
And sushi at a theme park is a gamble. I'm not gonna.
I would think so.
Yeah. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. But you know what? We actually had fresh fish.
I was gonna say, like, one of my first questions I was gonna ask you was like, have you seen inside the kitchen? Like, what were the conditions like?
So yeah. Like, kitchen was really nice. We were probably the best maintained restaurant.
Like,
because we would hire people from other restaurants sometimes. Like, the restaurant next door to us got closed.
Oh, because you would, like, cannibalize like workers?
Yeah.
I don't mean like literally. I mean
we would cannibalize coworkers, but the restaurant next to us closed because they were like,
that was a terrible word
on the down low. I didn't say where I worked, so you can't get my ass. But the restaurant next to us closed because it was dirty as shit. And
like the health inspectors shut it down?
Yeah, not actually, but they didn't score that high on their report. And the theme park we worked at was like, "Ooh, we should probably close because this is a bad look." And they should have. So like the way our system worked is I was at a restaurant that technically wasn't owned by the theme park.
Whoa.
We were leased to a different company. We were just held to a higher standard than the other restaurants at the theme park. So we were health inspected like twice when they would have been inspected once. We had higher food standards. We didn't have issues outside of that. So it was definitely a little bit nicer to work there because of that.
Yeah.
And it felt like, people actually gave a shit.
How good did you get at memorizing orders? Did you?
I memorized from day one.
Oh, you were like locked in?
I was locked in.
You never had to write anything down?
If I had a big party, I would write it down just because, like, when you have 12 people screaming at you, I'm not a teacher. I'm not on a field trip. I don't, I'm only listening so much, and then that's it. But yeah, usually for, like, up to parties of 6, I could pretty accurately lock it in off the memory.
I was going to ask what the cutoff was.
6 was usually the cutoff, and if I saw anybody more, I was like, I'm not even going to try. Like, I'm not going to
get the pen and paper out. Yeah. Do you ever have, like, a customer where they say their order, but you cannot figure out what the fuck they're saying?
Oh, absolutely. So there is a lot of international tourists who come to Los Angeles.
It's a big theme park, so I think they must like
a pretty prominent theme park. So people from all over the world would visit. And you would just get accents from all over the place.
Oh, dude.
And sometimes, and it's not their fault, obviously, like they're trying to
yeah.
order. But just in a restaurant with music playing and like kids screaming and somebody's trying to speak to me in like a German accent. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. Can you point? Can you just point?
I was gonna say, like, do you have them point to the menu, or what do you do? I guess.
Sometimes I'll have them point. Sometimes I'll just like lean down. I'll be like, I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that? And then you get your ear nice and close, and then they whisper, and it's like ASMR.
So
It gets intimate.
So my question was like, did this restaurant like have a liquor license or not? Did you?
Yes. So part of my job as a server is if some asshole ordered a cocktail, my ass would be back there mixing it no matter how busy I was.
You made the drinks.
We didn't pre-batch them. We made every drink to order. So sometimes you get a table of 4 adults and they're like, I'm feeling like I need a cocktail right now, and I'm like, no, you don't. You just need a bottle of sake. And they're like, I want to try one of your mixed drinks. And I have to be like, okay. So then I'm in the back mixing 4 fucking different drinks.
Yeah.
Well, I have 3 other tables who I haven't even gotten waters for. But no. My 4 moms need their drinkies.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, what's the one thing someone orders where you just want to die?
Cocktails. Every time. It was always cocktails. They would always be ordered at a time where I was just like slammed in behind, and then I'd have to make like 4 of them, and then they're all in these precarious ass glasses that will spill if you're not balancing it perfectly. So you're just walking with your hands shaking, and there's just sake running down your hands because you're spilling it everywhere. And by the time you get there, half the drink's already gone. You spilled it on the walk over, so you're just like, here's your fucking cocktail.
I'm picturing you bringing it out there, and then someone being like, oh, this isn't right. Can you remake it? Like. Yep. I'm sure that's happened. Yep. But I mean, like, did you ever drop one of them? Did you ever drop like a margarita?
No, thank God. Honestly, I did not have that many bad drops. I think I had 2 bad drops.
Like, it was like multiple dishes. Plates?
Yeah,
that's the worst.
So one was like my first week there, and I had just stacked my tray in a way that was like beyond stupid.
Yeah, dude. Like,
I had like cups all over and plates just wherever, and I was walking, and a dish on one side fell. And I wasn't prepared to like counterbalance, so the tray just dipped, and everything fell.
Dude, this like the moment of shame is pretty brutal when that happens.
Because everybody always goes,
"Oh yeah, no." They always act like I just shot someone or something. I was like, dude, it's not that bad. Well,
yeah, I know. And they're all staring at me, and I'm like, I'll kill you. Stop looking.
You guys didn't see anything, you know.
I'm gonna snap.
Dude, I remember like this one time I worked at an Italian restaurant when I was like maybe 17, and I dropped a plate full of pasta, and it just went everywhere. It didn't land on anybody, thank God, but it went all over the floor.
Yeah.
And this one kid, he must have been like 13. He like took out his phone and started like filming. I was like, dude, this is out of a movie. Like, I would have said something. I would have given that kid some kind of. I was like, this is how Walter White crashed out, bro.
You would have seen me choking out a kid.
Yeah. I would have like drop kicked him or something. Yeah. No, it's
like, I don't care that you're at the theme park and had a good day all day. I will kill you.
Well, okay, so I want to get back to the theme park thing. And so my question was, I didn't really think about who actually went into these restaurants. It's like, I can't picture. I've been to Times Square many times, and I see there's an Olive Garden, but who is going to that Olive Garden? Like, who?
You, brother, you would be shocked. You would be floored. So we get a lot of people who are leaving the theme park, going into the theme park, in the theme park. Because honestly, like again, this one, food options were kind of dog shit. Yeah. So we were one of the better choices, so we'd get a lot of traffic from there. We would get traffic from people who worked in the theme park, like on the corporate side, or just like on on the blue collar side. The people who worked on the corporate side were the worst tippers on the planet. They already get like a 30% discount or something crazy like that, and then they tip like 10%. And it's like, bro, you're gonna show up here every week. You're gonna order the same thing. I'm gonna memorize your order, and like you're gonna be a regular, and then you're gonna tip me like $1. Are you kidding me? Like unbelievable.
I didn't think about how you probably got the corporate heads in there too.
Yeah, get the corporate heads. I served the vice president of
the company,
the theme parks at one point. He actually tipped well and was very nice.
Okay, well,
so shouts out that guy. It was more like a middle management corporate who would show up and then just tip poorly.
Oh yeah, it was like the
which
wannabes.
is, shocker that middle management is a bunch of assholes.
But I was gonna say, I mean, there's probably like people coming out with like bags of like souvenirs.
Oh yeah, souvenirs. Again, the foreign travelers could be a handful.
Was a lot of your traffic people leaving the park?
A lot of it. It depended on what shift you're working.
Yeah.
But like closing shift, you usually get the big rush when the park's closing.
So how late were you open?
So weeknights usually 9. Weekends either 10 or 11. Summertime usually 11, and then during certain festivals during the park time, you would be open up until like midnight or 1.
So, I mean, I figure you're not just, when you have to park there for your job, you don't just have to park at the restaurant. You got to park in the whole amusement park.
I literally, so when they first had me start, there's one parking garage that is all the way on the other side of the theme park.
Holy shit.
So they would have me park over there. So I would get out, and it would take me like 15 minutes to 20 minutes to walk around the entire theme park and get there. Because obviously they don't have transportation for me. Like they don't give that. Yeah, they don't give that much of a shit about their employees.
No, of course not.
So after a while, I showed up to a shift like out of breath, and my managers went, "Why are you, like, what's wrong?" And I told them what happened, and they went, "Oh, you could just not park there. You could just park in the other garage." And I was like, "What do you mean you can just park in the other garage? Nobody told me that." So then I was able to park in one of the closer ones.
That's like they're hazing. It was like everyone who starts has to park in the...
It wasn't even the restaurant who told me. It was like corporate theme park
The guys
people.
that tip 10%?
It's the assholes who don't tip, or like, actually, you have to park on the other side.
Those
like,
assholes.
Yeah. I have so much beef with those guys. From my experience, you could usually tell who's going to tip well within like the opening 5 minutes,
Just if they're nice or not?
just based on like their attitude, rather than like class so much.
Yeah.
It was all attitude. You could always tell within like 5-10 minutes. You're like, oh man, I'm cooked, or you'd be like, oh sweet, this guy's gonna tip so well. And I would say like 80% of the time I would nail like how they would tip. It's unfortunate, but yeah, it's like sometimes you just get up to the table and you're like, oh no, I'm getting like $1. Fuck. Well, like if you walk up and you see a bunch of teenagers, you're like, oh, I'm getting the leftover change from whatever they paid with cash, and they're piling up like dimes on the check, and it's like, that's honestly, I would rather you not tip.
Just go home.
Yeah, just leave me alone.
I remember like there would be busy moments and there'd just be like one table that just like would not leave.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to close the restaurant or something. They're just like, and then I'm trying to like listen to the pattern of their conversation and be like, all right, they're wrapping up. And
they're never wrapping up.
No, they're never wrapping up.
They're never wrapping up.
But yeah, like has that happened? Like do you, and you can like what's like the longest you've seen someone stay? Like
we've had a table stay so long that my manager sent everybody else home because we had literally closed and cleaned.
Are you allowed to kick them out?
My manager won't.
Okay. Does anybody ever throw like an event there or like?
Yes. So we'll have people for like birthdays, or the theme park hosts conferences, so we'll have conferences.
Oh, that's the shitty people, right?
No, so sometimes the theme park will just host like random third-party conferences.
Okay.
And those always suck because they don't give you a heads up, and they always eat lunch at the restaurant. And normally we only have one server on for lunch because it's a slower time. So all of a sudden out of nowhere, you're just like, oh my God, the entire restaurant is full and it's me and just me. So you're just literally sprinting from table to table. And usually they're in a hurry because they only get an hour for lunch.
Yeah.
So you get a whole restaurant full of people like, I need to be done in 30 minutes, please. And you're like, well, there's one of me. Womp womp.
I knew a guy who used to work at Subway, and he told me like it would be like nothing's going on, and then he would see like a school bus full of kids.
And you're just like, no!
Oh, and he was like, I'm sick, I have to go home, I have to have diarrhea. But no, I remember you mentioned people like having like birthday parties. I remember that was one of my biggest gripes was when people would open like gifts at the table and they would leave all that shit on the table.
Every single motherfucker who walked in there was the nastiest person on the planet. People throwing crumbs on the floor, like napkins everywhere, just spilling soy sauce, drinks, like just being nasty. Like I don't.
Oh my God, dude.
It's filthy. But yeah, birthdays, those were always special because they would bring in some of them would bring in their own cake and they would ask you to cut it for them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, hey, that's not in my job description. But I can't tell you no, otherwise I'll get fired. So yeah, I'll do that for you.
Do you ever have someone try to like do it's like they try to get you to cut the cake, right?
Yeah.
Like you're some like NPC.
Yeah. You're like, here you go, and
yeah.
I go, thank you, and then I just turn around and walk back into the kitchen.
Maybe you get the guys who like try to make you play credit card roulette.
Sometimes I usually don't give enough of a shit. Whoever gives me their card first is paying. Like that's like if somebody's like, "Oh, I want to pay too," I'm like, I really don't care enough
to indulge. I need a working credit card.
I gave good service, but I just had very defined limits. I'm like, I'm not doing. I never sang "Happy Birthday" once.
What I was asking was like, did you have like you and your coworkers like come out and sing some weird thing? You know what I'm talking about? The way they do it, like Chili's.
Yeah. Usually that was standard. Like usually the other servers would rally the troops for that.
You never did it once.
I would drop the dessert off and I would go, "Happy Birthday," and that was it. Why do you need like 5
strangers
like nicotine addicted Adderall users to sing you "Happy Birthday"? Like, what do you? I don't want to be here. I don't give a shit that it's your birthday. That's the thing is like it's all a bunch of bullshit. So for me, when working at the restaurant, if I ever like said something or didn't want to do something, and then a customer would like follow up, I would then have to just like immediately shit out an answer that would sound approved, like sound like up to snuff. So I got really good at that. That's the best part. That's what I got most out of working at a restaurant is the ability to just like bullshit my way out of not having to do something.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah.
I remember when I worked at New Balance, I was never given any training on like what shoes were good for what. And when a customer came in and asked like, hey, like I need like arch support in this area of my foot, like which shoe is good for that? And I'm like a 21-year-old kid who like has been there for 3 weeks. And for the first time I did a good job. I actually went to my manager and she was so pissed off that I was asking her questions. And then the second time I just started making stuff up.
That is, brother, you're speaking my language.
Dude, I would make up like science buzzwords. I'd be like, so the collateral science of this arch is actually meant to sort of support your ankles in a way that's, and I was just...
Good pivot motion.
Yeah, dude, I was using all the words I could think of.
So, I'm a vegetarian, which means I don't eat fish or meat.
Okay. Why did you start with fish?
Because most things that we sold contained fish. Meaning I ate maybe 3 things out of 40 that we had on the menu.
Yeah.
So whenever anybody asked me for any kind of recommendation, I was just making shit up. They would go, what do you think of the sushi roll? And I'd be like, I think it's kind of salty and spicy. If you're into that sort of thing, you're going to love it. Especially suburban families, they love to ask, so what do you recommend?
Okay.
Like a fucking avocado roll? I don't know. So I just came up with like a sales pitch of 3 rolls. And whenever anybody asked, I would just hit them with like this autopilot scripted like run through these 3 rolls and why I recommend them. Without fail. The dad of the family would always pull me aside to be like, nice Rex, man. My favorite was like this dad was like, yo, fire Rex, bro. Talking about a sushi roll that I've never tasted in my life, and I was just like, told you you'd like it.
Oh man.
So yeah, it was just me lying. This job was just me lying and then smiling and not doing things I didn't want to do.
Have you ever had someone who speaking of lying, like have you ever had somebody who asked you, was like too chatty with you, like they were like making small talk with
so
you?
we had a code word in the restaurant.
Yeah.
So if like somebody ever was like trapped at a table, you could like, if you wanted to bail them out, you could walk up and go, hey, do you know where it was inari, which is gluten-free soy sauce? You would go, hey, do you know like what the inari is or where the inari is? Yeah. And then you could go, oh, I'll be right back. I have to help them. And then bam, you're out. But I had one table and I felt really bad because it was just like this sweet older couple, like maybe 60s. And they both worked in the theme park. So like they were like, I'd seen them a couple of times. But after a certain point, they just got like way too comfortable with chopping it up with me. And, they're just, like, 60-year-olds, they don't really have a lot of people to talk to.
I can see why that would be, yeah.
And so if I ever opened myself up accidentally to some kind of conversation, like if I said, oh, really, to the wrong thing.
Oh, no.
And I went, oh, nice, or oh, really.
You've lost
right
like 20
thing.
minutes.
Bam, off to the races. And then I'm just like, oh, shit.
Please ask me where the soy sauce is. Hello, someone. I need someone to bail me out.
Yeah, nobody ever bailed me out because it was funny. Like, if it was busy, they would bail me out. But if it was slow, then my ass is just standing there like, oh, wow, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Can you believe it?
Yeah. I never would have thought about that. Just saying those on loop.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were chatty. I mean, sometimes you get tables who are like actually chatty in a way that's fun.
Yeah, like, you're interested in the
sometimes they actually have like good jokes, and you go, nice. I can riff a little bit with you. And then other times they're just people who will talk.
Like a hostage.
Like like they have a gun at the back of my head and they're ranting, like at the top of a building, like ranting.
There's a sniper dot on your chest.
Yeah, and they're like, foaming at the mouth, and I'm like, please.
I know. I was gonna ask, like, have you ever made up like fake information about yourself?
Absolutely, man.
I was like, that might be too sociopathic. I'm like, you ever have them ask like, oh, so like, where did you go to school? And I come up with like a completely fake.
I turned into a sociopath.
What kind of, did you come up with like fake lore for yourself? I've done it.
Yeah, I would come up with lore about like, again, like I lied about the food I ate. I lied about like where I was from, how long I'd been in LA, things I liked doing. Like, I never went to the theme park I worked at.
Never. You still haven't? Okay.
So people would ask me about it, and I'd be like, ah.
Oh, well, actually, yeah. So people ask you, like, what should I do in the park, and you had to make shit up.
Making shit up.
You've never been.
Wow. I'd be like, here's something me and my girlfriend did. And they'd be like, wow, that sounds fun. I'm like, you bet your ass
it is.
It's so fun. I pissed my pants. I had so much fun. Yeah.
I'm never trusting any waiter I ever talk to, man.
No, that's the thing is, like, we would sit down at the end of our shifts, too, and we would just talk about, like, all the crazy shit we would tell customers. Yeah. Like, because at the end of the day, and people don't want to hear this because it ruins the illusion, but, like, when you're at a restaurant and a server's talking to you, they want your money. That's it. That's why they're being nice. That's why they're making conversation with you. So they're basically going to do what they have to like, keep the conversation going, to have a conversation that's going to, like, hopefully make you feel entertained. Yeah. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, if it does entertain you, like, the waiter did a good job on that. But at the end of the day, like, we're just doing a service, and if I don't get tipped well, like, I can't afford my apartment. So I have to do what I have to do to make sure I get it. You gotta, like,
whore yourself out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you have to make yourself seem as likable as... You're basically, every time... The opening 5 minutes of me at a table is me trying to, like, shift myself into the best version of Lance that's going to, like, make them like me.
Okay, fair.
That's what most servers have to do, is, like, they probe the table, see what they want. Because, like, some tables want a nicer, like, I'm saying fine dining in air quotes, but they want, like, the attentive fine dining experience. Other tables want to, like, get in, do their thing, get out. Other tables want to just, like, have a nice, funny...
So you got to figure out what they want.
Yeah, you're figuring out what they want, and you're tailoring your serving mode to that. Like, there's some tables where I just didn't talk to them that much. Like, it was just for them, it was, like, business. They wanted me to be fast.
I kind of like that, though.
Attentive. Yeah. And, like, as a server, that's fine. Like, I don't... Like, if you don't want me to talk to you, like, okay. There's going to be a bazillion other people who are going to want me to talk to them. Yeah. I'll take the break on here. And then there's other tables who, like, ask me where I'm from, or, like, what I'm doing, or that sort of thing.
So, the way I like to end these episodes is I try to ask people, like, if you can think of a story you want to tell from this job, I want to give people the floor to do that.
One night that is really funny is the night that everybody was, like, yakking at their table.
That's what I wanted to hear about. Gross. Please tell me about that.
Which is gross, but that's kind of... I think that might be the funniest, but, like... That's something people don't really consider, is, like, you have a theme park, you have food, and you have young kids.
Yeah, that is
a cocktail for somebody hurling. Semi-frequently. So there was one night where it kept happening.
Okay,
So it started with a table that we had outside, and we had, like, a huge party, like 12, 15 people. bunch of kids, bunch of parents. And this was a night where I was hosting. So I wasn't like dealing with this table, but the host stand is outside and it was like near that table.
Uh-huh.
So if like I looked to my left, like I could just see what was happening and what was going on there. And at a certain point, there's like a commotion over there. And I was like, all right, like I'm not really in the middle of anything. I guess I should like be proactive and do my job or something. So I walk over there and I was like, hey, everything okay? And I look and one of the kids' hands is bleeding. And I was like, okay, that's an issue. And when you look closer, you see that we had like little soy sauce, I guess, like containers on every table. And they were made out of glass. You know, this kid was probably fucking with it and probably broke it and cut himself. Yeah. But I couldn't really like, you know, say that to the parents. The parents were mad at us. They were like, "Oh, your container broke and cut our son's hand." And it's like, well, it doesn't just break. Glass doesn't just break on its own. But you can't say that. You can't look at this angry parent and be like, actually, your kid was being annoying. So I just went and got my manager and was like, all right, can you handle this? They're freaking out and mad and yada, yada, yada. So she got a bunch of like sodas and like sweet treats to soothe things over. But this is obviously, as I've established, not the smartest kid. You know, broke glass, cut his finger. So he didn't exactly know when to stop eating said sweet treats. Oh no, dude. So halfway through the meal, he decides he's had too much. Time for a little purge right there at the table. That one was nice, at least because the parents like helped handle it. Because you get some who don't, and we'll get to that later on. But the parents like mostly handled it. We brought them supplies, and they're like, "Oh, we'll take care of it from here," and they cleaned it up for the most part. And the night goes on, and it's a little bit later, but inside now, there's a family of 4. 2 adults, 2 young kids, and they're just sitting there eating, and like the young girl just pulls trig, lets it rip, and there's other tables like nearby, projectile, like all over the floor. And these parents, you know, they decide that they're hungry, they're gonna keep eating, so they just pick up their food and go to a different table and sit down. I hate these people so much. Their kids are sitting there. The daughter's crying because like obviously she just threw up and like isn't feeling good. But the parents are just eating, and it's like I guess I'll go clean up.
Did you talk to him at all?
I was hosting, so I'm like, I'm not going to go over there and talk to the parents, but as a host or busboy, it's on us to clean it up. So we're in there cleaning up yak. Also that night, somebody threw up in the bathroom trash can, which is like, you already made it that close. You couldn't just like take 5 more steps. The toilet's right there.
I do have to mention this because I remember when I worked at New Balance, we had 2 swinging doors, you know, they were like glass doors, and one of them just stayed locked. You know, like you're opening a set of 2 doors and one of them just like locked. Like, okay, I guess use the other one. I don't know why that happens, but we did that. This mom comes in with her son, and they're like looking at kids' shoes and something, and then me and my coworker just like hanging out, like folding clothes. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, like, here's the thing: you do this enough, and I'm sure you've seen it. You know when a kid's about to throw up, like you can see it. Like,
it's the look in their eyes. It's like kind of glazed over, but also panicked.
Yeah, dude. You can look at a kid and be like, okay, we got 30 seconds. And then you can look at a kid and be like, we have maybe 5 seconds.
Oh no!
This kid, he was ambitious because he knew to run for the door. And I was like, this kid's onto something. Like, this kid knows I need to get it
bold call
outside. And I was like, I like this kid. Right?
Get to a patch of grass or something.
Yeah, dude. Like, he's going to leave the store. And I was like, because once it's out of the store, it's not my problem anymore.
Yeah, I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, of course. You know, if they threw up in the strip that you work on, you don't have to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
See, that's
no, absolutely. There was somebody who threw up like 5 feet in front of the restaurant once. And I was like, not my problem. And you know what? Security handled it. I was like, hell yeah.
But this kid ran for the door. And he doesn't know that one of them doesn't open and one of them does. And so me and my coworker are just watching this happen. And he is just like, he just holds on to like my arm. Because he knows that this is a coin toss. This is a 50-50 chance.
And the kid's just going to bounce off.
If he hits this door and does not open it, we will clean up this vomit. If he goes through the other door, it's not a problem. And so we're just praying for dear life this kid makes the right call. And of course, he just smacks into this door and bounces right off. Throws up all over himself. All over the floor. It's like a grenade went off. Dude, if I could just put you in a different reality or some sort of alternate universe where you just picked the right fucking door, dude. None of them. You would have been a hero.
It probably sucks so much to be that kid.
I mean, that's his character defining moment. I mean, there's like he's gonna grow up and
I thought I handled it, and then I ran into the fucking locked door, and then threw up all over myself.
I mean, he's gonna grow up and be like this like hardened, mysterious detective, and someone's gonna find out, why are you this way? And he's like, well, listen, one time when I was a kid,
I bonked my head on a door and flew up all over myself. That's why I can't form any emotional connections.
That's why I'm scared to make choices. But yeah, that was like definitely one of the funnier moments I've ever had. I had to clean it up too, so it kind of sucked in the moment. But yeah, I want to thank you for coming on today, man. I really appreciate it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Coming up next, we have a very, very special guest for a Mother's Day episode, so I'm really excited to share that one. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.